live and in living color. It is a Sunday evening here, Arizona time, and welcoming you to another edition of the J Area Wrestling Show. Of course, my name is Jose Ramos Jr., welcoming you into another conversation about the wonderful world of professional wrestling. A lot to talk about, especially with an upcoming week filled with action, similar to how WrestleMania, the biggest week of the show for wrestling, at least, SummerSlam is right there. SummerSlam to me has become the second biggest show for the WWE, arguably second biggest show in all of wrestling. I know All In just had their huge event, but SummerSlam to me still a little bit more bigger, has a little bit more of a legacy than All In, even though they've had some great shows going on these past couple of years. But this year's SummerSlam, for the first time ever, 2 nights. It's usually a one-night affair, but this year it's going to be 2 nights, emanating from MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. I know they would advertise it as the New York area, but it is technically the New Jersey area. And it should be a stellar show. The only complaint that I've had about this year's SummerSlam really is the build, because there has been an abundant amount of PLEs, Saturday night's main events, so it doesn't feel like there's a proper build to these shows. It just feels like hopping from one to the next. But if you're keeping up to date with everything pro wrestling and also keeping up to date with everything here on the channel, then you are in the know, then you are in the loop, and it's not really that hard to start connecting the dots. But for those who are, still struggling to keep up with all the ongoing stories, it would be easy to get lost in the shuffle. The WWE has done a pretty good job of its long-term storytelling and its long-term booking, but I do feel like getting from point A to point B to point C, there are some instances where it could be lost in transition for the WWE. At least we know what the main event of the whole weekend is going to be. SummerSlam. We know it's going to be John Cena defending the WWE title against Cody Rhodes, the winner of the King of the Ring tournament, looking to exact his revenge from losing the championship way back at WrestleMania 41. But the question that's on everybody's mind, certainly mine, and it should be on yours as well if you clicked on today's live stream, and that's what is going to be the main event of night one. I think it's a couple of options there. We would have included the triple threat match, Naomi versus Rhea versus Io, but that's not going to be on night one. It's down to two options here, and I want to hear from you guys in the chat as we begin to welcome people into the live stream. We're talking about what should be the main event of SummerSlam night one. It's really come down to two huge matches. Star power is not a shortage here for SummerSlam night one. We have a big tag team match that will see Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed versus the team of Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso, and the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. And on the flip side, we have a World Heavyweight Championship bout as Gunther, the reigning defending World Heavyweight Champion, will be defending it against the number one contender and the winner of that gauntlet match a couple of weeks ago on Monday Night Raw, CM Punk, who has not had a championship title reign since his return in November of 2023. Now, depending on what you're looking most forward to in terms of a story, either one of these, I think, fits the bill. You can make an argument for either one. If you want huge stars, I mean, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso are definitely some of the biggest stars in the company right now. Roman Reigns being box office. Every time he appears on TV, it's loud ovation, big numbers, and certainly social media numbers as well begin to pop when the Tribal Chief is on screen. And then Jey Uso, who is definitely one of the most over baby faces in all of pro wrestling. Don't listen to all the doubters online who try to tell you otherwise. If you watch the show and you listen to that audience, I mean, Jey Uso is certainly up there with some of the biggest stars today. Then you want to look at CM Punk versus Gunther. The main thing for that one is it's for the World Championship, and that's for me as an underlying, theme of the matchup. It's for a World's title. You would think that'd be enough to main event a show. But when you have someone like Roman Reigns, big name, big box office attraction, I could definitely see him and Jey Uso main eventing SummerSlam night one. But I look at it this way. I look at it in the sense of you got to have balance. Night two is going to be main evented by John Cena versus Cody Rhodes. No doubt in my mind that we're going to be seeing that as the main event. Two of the biggest stars in the company today, the last 25 years. So what would we be to counteract that in night one? you want to make the argument, Roman and Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, you can make the argument that that wasn't going to be the plan. You can make the argument that that wasn't going to be the match planned for SummerSlam. I think everything was pointing towards Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. Now, if reports are to be believed, it was said that at Saturday night's main event, it was supposed to be Seth Rollins getting the victory over LA Knight. Obviously, an injury was sustained, and Seth Rollins will not longer be able to compete at SummerSlam. So, if reports are to be believed, it was also said that the matchup between LA Knight and Seth Rollins would have another match at SummerSlam, where LA Knight would get a win, a big win. Now, does Roman and Jey Uso still interact with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed? I think so in some capacity. But I definitely think the path became clearer once you eliminate and remove Seth Rollins from said equation. The one thing I don't think that was ever in any doubt was that CM Punk was going to be challenging Gunther. I feel like that was the matchup that was always going to take place at SummerSlam. Big box office match, if you ask me. I mean, CM Punk versus Gunther is a matchup that I think would sell out any arena. You have one of the best in the world right now, Gunther, and obviously the best in the world right over here over my shoulder, vying for the World Heavyweight Championship, a title that he has not held since 2009. Should be a fantastic match. If you ask me, I could see a world where Jey Uso and Roman Reigns main event because it's the bloodline. Because it's the big entrances. It's the grandiose effect of SummerSlam. Jey Uso coming through the crowd. Roman Reigns with the orchestra-like entrance. The aura would be at an all-time high at MetLife Stadium. In a world I could see that happening, I just don't see it happening in this world. I think Gunther versus CM Punk will be the main event. I think it should be the main event. And if I was a betting man, which I am, I would bet that it is the main event. It's a World Heavyweight Championship. Big fight feel. For me, that's what pay-per-view. Nowadays, it's a PLE. But that's what the event should be, a big fight feel. And if we are led to believe from this past week's Monday Night Raw segment between Gunther and CM Punk, I didn't post it on the community tab, but this week's gift of gab, the promo of the week, for me, it goes for the Gunther and CM Punk segment because it really sells the matchup for me. And if you can get a promo, certainly by two of the best right now, if you can get a promo that sells me on the matchup leading into the PLE, that's enough for me to get invested. That's enough for me to get a little excited and think, you know what, I want to see this matchup. Now, on paper, I want to see this matchup. I think Gunther's a premier athlete. Everything this man touches is gold. Literally, he's the World Heavyweight Champion. CM Punk, you guys know I'm biased. He's one of my favorites of all time. But you look at the track record of CM Punk and the feuds that he has been a part of since his return back in the fall of 2023 have been second to none. Drew McIntyre, that was feud of the year. That culminated in a Hell in a Cell match for the ages. His feud against Seth Rollins, which is still technically ongoing, has developed into quite a rivalry that has sustained a level of importance throughout the course of the WWE's calendar year. So him against John Cena, a part of the John Cena farewell tour, was an ejection of adrenaline for a title reign, to me, that was falling a little bit flat. And you had the segments between Punk and Cena, and to me, it was some of the best stuff that we've seen in this Cena farewell tour. I think it has to be CM Punk versus Gunther. If it is not, I think it's a missed opportunity, and it's an injustice, not just to CM Punk, because that's my guy, but to Gunther, who is the World Heavyweight Champion. He should be main eventing shows. Nothing against Roman and Jey. I love Roman and Jey. They're great. They're fantastic. I acknowledge them 100%, but I think this should be for Gunther and CM Punk. If you want a level of importance and significance to that World Heavyweight Championship, you need it to main event one of the nights, and we know it's not going to be main event night 2. We know it's not. But that's my opinion. I would love to hear from you guys in the chat. I'll take a look here at the chat here in a moment, but I want to hear from you in terms of who do you believe should be the main event. Tyler here in the chat. What's going on, Tyler? Tyler says, I think Gunther versus CM Punk or Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso. Yeah, no, I mean, it's certainly down to those two options. Trevor says double turn Cena versus Cody. This has been an interesting development by a lot of fans online, that they see this more aggressive side of Cody. And for one, we know that Cena's not going to end his career as a heel. He has to end it as a babyface. But do we turn Cody heel already? He just won the championship last year, and then he loses it at WrestleMania 41. We can plant the seeds, but I don't know if we go full-fledged heel turn for Cody. I think they kind of booked themselves into a corner too, because when they had Cena versus Cody at WrestleMania, the crowd began to turn on Cody and side with Cena. Got a little bit of booze there for the American Nightmare, and maybe they booked themselves into a corner where they might have to present him as a heel. Now, if history were to show us anything, you don't really want to turn your top babyface into a heel, because that could affect merchandise. That could affect, revenue. Almighty dollar. But the WWE right now is in a place where they have a level of talent in guys like Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and John Cena, of course, if he were to revert to a babyface based off of this double turn. They have the groupings, even Rhea Ripley, who I forgot to mention. They have a group of talent that could carry the load. But is that something they want to do? And for those who are unaware what a double turn is, I'm sure the vast majority of you are, but just in case, a double turn is when you're able to take a babyface character and a heel character and in one fell swoop have them switch spots. The most popular example of WrestleMania 13 back in 1997, Bret Hart entered the matchup as a babyface, Stone Cold Steve Austin entered the match as a heel, and based off of the story that they were telling in the matchup and the level of aggression that Bret Hart was presenting and the sympathy that the fans felt for Stone Cold, it forced the hand of turning them into babyface and heels, just taking different positions. That could be a possibility. I think if Seth Rollins wasn't, supposedly injured, we still don't know 100%. I personally believe that he is injured, but there are those with the fan theory that it's a work. If he weren't injured, there is a possibility that there could have been a cash-in for either the world title or the WWE title, but we'll have to wait and see if that is a possibility. I don't think it is. I think he's really hurt. But I would be totally okay if I'm wrong. Tyler says, I think Gunther's going to win, but Seth Rollins is going to cash in. I disagree, Tyler. I think if the Seth injury is a work, I think Punk wins. And if Punk wins, then Seth cashes in because of the declaration of Seth and Punk both agreeing that so long as they are breathing, so long as they are willing and able, the other will not be champion. So I feel like if Seth does cash in, it's on Punk. And if Gunther wins, I could see him cash in on Cody if Cody were to beat Cena. But I don't think he's cashing in. I think this injury is legitimate. Muhammad, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Everything and happy Sunday. Can't believe Hulk Hogan. Yes, happy Sunday as well. We did talk about Hulk Hogan and his passing this past Thursday. If you missed that live stream, please check that out. Kevin, what's going on, buddy? Says, what's up? How's it going? Working overnight plus your podcast, perfect way to make time go by quick. I appreciate that, Kevin. Thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure talking to my fellow fans of pro wrestling. Kevin says, a tough month it's been for July babies, right? Oh, man. I hear ya. Muhammad, hi, and what makes you think July has been a tough month? Oh, Muhammad's talking to you, Kevin. But like I said, the main event of SummerSlam, it needs to go to Gunther versus CM Punk. I see John in the chat here. I think Drew comes and screws Punk as Get Back when he got screwed by Punk at WrestleMania. When Damian cashed in, Triple H loves a long-term stellar. Yeah, that's okay. So let's talk about that for a second. It's not out of the realm of possibility. We know that Drew and Punk have their long storied history there. I just don't think they're gonna go that route, right? I think Drew is more occupied with his travel issues. Apparently, he's stranded overseas, having an issue with his visa, and they are projected to have him at SummerSlam. There shouldn't be too much of a concern. Supposedly, that's what it's saying. But I do think if anyone takes that position of screwing Punk, it's Seth. I don't think Drew is going to be involved, truthfully. Ozzy Osbourne and Hulk's passing. And of course, Muhammad points out Malcolm Jamal as well. Michael Madsen. Did Sabu pass away in July? I don't know why I thought it was June. If it feels like Sabu's passing was a lot more long ago. I thought it was in June for a second there. July has felt like a long month, though. I will say. This past weekend. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed your weekend, by the way. I'm glad that you guys were able to spend your time here. My kind of timeline is a little thrown off. Again, I've talked about it before on the live stream with the work schedule. But I hope you guys' weekend went well. This past weekend, we had seen the Fantastic Four film, which I was a fan of. I thought it was really well done. I think the 2005 and '07 iterations of the comics, very nostalgic for me personally. The 2015 film does not exist to me. I do not ever want to see Fanforstic. I've only seen it once, and that was enough for me. This new version of the Fantastic Four I thought was well done. I thought the casting was perfect. The story was well told. I liked the pacing of it all. And I look very much forward to the next phase that Marvel has. But that's what we did this weekend. We saw the Fantastic Four movie. What did you guys do? Hopefully you enjoyed your weekend as well. John says, I say this because Seth's injury changes everything, so Drew is the audible. Or they just don't do anything. You know, if Seth's injury is legitimate, which I do believe it is, but again, when it comes to pro wrestling, there's always that little bit of doubt. If it is legitimate, I don't think you have to have Drew as an audible. I don't think you have to. I think you could just keep going the way it is. Because you don't want to have too much of a convoluted story. Because then that would beg the question, does Drew and Punk re-enter a feud because of that? And I don't think they do. I think that story's already done for the time being. If they do have an interaction, it's more likely like in a Royal Rumble setting where it's like there's not really much weight to it. I don't see it happening. I think it's Seth or it's nobody. But we have a big week of wrestling coming up. Of course, you guys know the schedule. Raw's on Monday, NXT Tuesday, Wednesday's Dynamite, Thursday's Impact, Friday Night SmackDown, and of course SummerSlam on Saturday and Sunday. A big week of wrestling ahead of us this upcoming Thursday. We'll be discussing the predictions live stream for SummerSlam. I'll be going through the entirety of the card. A lot of big matches, by the way, on that card. Of course, they just recently announced a TLC match, a 6-team TLC match, the biggest TLC match of all time. Looking forward to that. So we'll be sharing our predictions this upcoming Thursday during that live stream. Of course, Monday's live stream following Monday Night Raw, discussing the fallout of that show. And of course, leading into SummerSlam weekend, we'll have some live streams sharing our thoughts, our reactions, and our recaps of the SummerSlam event itself. So a lot to talk about this upcoming week. We'll have a live stream Monday, Thursday, and of course on the weekend as well. I also want to promote the newest video that we're going to be having this upcoming week. It's going to be exclusive for members only. I wanted to do something different. I've seen channels where they watch a film or a TV show and they provide their commentary or their reaction, and that's something I kind of want to do for our members only aspect of the channel. So for this week, we're going to be talking about the Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan match, SummerSlam 2005. I had filmed and recorded that video prior to the passing of Hulk Hogan, so you will see a disclaimer on there as well, just informing everybody that, hey, this video came out or was made prior to his passing. So that'll be available later this week for our members only. You'll be able to watch my reaction, my commentary to the matchup, as well as the build of Hogan versus Michaels. And hopefully, if it does well and if people enjoy that, we'll be able to incorporate that more so for the members only aspect of the channel. John Cena says, Happy Gilmore 2 was okay. I have it saved. You know, I haven't seen it yet. It's on my list to watch. I kind of want to watch the first Happy Gilmore just as a refresher. It's been a minute since I've seen it, and then follow up with Happy Gilmore 2. I've heard mixed reviews about it. I still want to check it out because I think it's very important to be able to devise your own opinion on film, because, you know, not every movie's for everybody. Sometimes I'm gonna like a movie that you're not gonna like, and you know, you're gonna like a movie I don't like. So I want to develop my own opinion, and I'll get back to you on that. John says you have to watch the first. I have seen the first. It's been a minute. it's been a few years since I've seen the the first movie. I mean, a few years. So I kind of like the aspect of just watching like a double feature, but haven't had a lot of time in that aspect. I'm starting to watch Unlimited Wrestling Violent Delights 2025. Right on, Tyler. Muhammad says Adam Sandler and MJF is in it. I mean, of course, Adam Sandler. He's the star of the movie. MJF plays his son. I know Bad Bunny's in it as well. I think I heard Becky Lynch is in it. I think Nikki Bella was supposed to be in it, but I think she said that her parts have been cut out of the film. I don't know if her whole character had been cut out of the film, but a lot of her scenes were cut out. Apparently, she had said. John says Travis Kelce's in it too. I might just skip the Travis Kelce stuff. You guys know how I feel about the Chiefs and Travis Kelce, but yeah, I did hear that Travis Kelce's in it. I heard a lot of actors and celebrities are a lot of celebrities and athletes are in the movie itself. So again, I'll check it out eventually. It's on my list, but we'll see. It's a big week of wrestling, so I'm going to be keeping up with that. Damn, Tyler shots fired. I'm not a fan. And Taylor Swift, is Taylor really in? If Taylor's in the movie, I'm not watching it, bro. I can't. Like Travis, I can take because I'm actually a fan of football, and I do believe my brother will hate me saying this. I do believe that Travis Kelce is one of the best tight ends to play. He's very proficient, very efficient, and the numbers don't lie, and the eye test doesn't lie either. He's great. He's great. Is he the greatest of all time? No, not for the tight end position. I still have people like Shannon Sharp, Tony Gonzalez, and Rob Gronkowski over Travis Kelce. And as for Taylor Swift, I hope she's not in the movie. Is she in the movie? I hope not. Because then it's like, now you're just overdoing it. She doesn't need to be in it. But we'll check it out. Happy Gilmore 2 did come out this past weekend on Netflix. And I do want to watch the first one again. If I don't, so be it. But I do want to get a refresher and just have a back-to-back double feature for that film. But Monday Night Raw, NXT, AEW, a lot of stuff to catch up on. Of course, you boys got to get some work in. So that'll be interesting, being able to fit that time in. When Shake It Off plays in the grocery store, I'm jamming. That song is a banger. John, listen, I like you, John. You're my friend. I appreciate you coming to by on these live streams, but I can't. I even asked a friend of mine who is a big Swift fan, and it's like no hate on Taylor Swift. I say it to like joke around. I asked them, what is it about Taylor Swift? Because I don't get it. I don't get it. And it's, not for me, not my demographic. That's fine. It's not meant for me. No hate. I just don't see it. I don't see it. But hey, you can like what you like. And I've always believed, don't yuck someone else's yum. If you're a fan of them, cool. Go off. But shoot, Muhammad, go ahead. If Gunther wins, okay. If Gunther wins, I see Ilya Dragunov returning, because if you look at the original plan for WrestleMania, it was Gunther versus Ilya. I love this. Ilya Dragunov is a beast. He's a monster. The way this guy trains and prepares for wrestling is otherworldly. I cannot wait for Ilya Dragunov to return. It really was a shame to see Ilya drop, or not drop, but get dropped with the injury bug, rather. And being forced out of action for what it feels like a year now. He's been gone for so long. And the inevitable matchup for the World Heavyweight Championship between he and Gunther, that's going to feed families. That's going to feed generations. If they give those guys a proper build and a proper amount of time in the ring, I mean, go back and watch their NXT UK matches. Those guys are great. Those guys are meant to battle against one another for the rest of their careers. They are the Batman and the Joker. They are the Spider-Man, the Green Goblin. They are supposed to be at the opposite ends of a ring. I would love to see this. I think it has to happen, right? I mean, imagine this clash in Paris. Ilya versus Gunther. That's money right there. I know PLEs are a part of the Peacock plan or the Netflix plan if you're, in the, outside of the U.S. But I'd pay money for that. John says, Travis Scott, you're fired. Man, I knew it too. When they got Travis Scott involved, I was already skeptical about it. You can have a couple of appearances, you can make a celebrity appearance and promote the show. But once he started getting involved, it's like, what's the long term plan here? Him coming out at Elimination Chamber with The Rock and causing the John Cena heel turn was a shocking turn of events, and I knew it. That shot, there's a shot where it's Cena, Rock, and Travis Scott, and I'm like, that's not going to age well. 20 years from now, we're going to be asking, what the hell was, you know, Travis Scott doing there? Why? It didn't even take 20 years. And then he interrupts the main event of WrestleMania 41, arguably one of the biggest main events of all time, because it was Cody Rhodes against John Cena. And John Cena wins number 17. And again, it's like, why is he there? We do not get a payoff. The one time he got physical, whether it was planned or not, he basically injures Cody, giving him a black eye and a ruptured eardrum. And apparently now people are saying that he was lazy. Again, I don't know if this is true because reports are reports, but I always said where there's smoke, there's fire. Apparently, reports were saying that he wasn't taking it seriously. He was lazy in terms of the preparation. Again, I don't know him personally. I don't know the backstage story of it all, but I do believe where there's smoke is fire. And I did not like the idea of him being involved in literally the biggest match, the biggest story of WrestleMania. I did not like it. It still doesn't make sense. We do not have a resolution as to why he and The Rock were a part of that heel turn for John Cena. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Don't want to get off topic here. What is your thoughts on Chelsea Green's situation and Tessa Blanchard defending Chelsea? So I didn't hear about Tessa Blanchard's part. I did hear about Chelsea Green, who they interviewed her about her thoughts about Hulk Hogan. And a lot of people are coming, after Chelsea Green because of the way she spoke about him. I don't want to spend too much talking about Hulk Hogan. We discussed that on Thursday's live stream, and I'm going to leave it at that. But I can understand from her point of view as a member of the business and as a wrestler and who was probably influenced by Hulk Hogan in one form or another. But for people to take it upon themselves and berate Chelsea Green and go off on her online, causing her to deactivate her social media for a time being just because of the vitriol and the negativity that people were spewing towards her. I'm not a fan of that. I don't know. I don't like fighting negativity with negativity. So her having to deactivate her social media, that's a shame because I think Chelsea Green is one of the more entertaining, wrestlers, entertainers, members of the roster today. I think she's entitled to her opinion. I think everybody's entitled to their opinion. But I don't know much about Tessa Blanchard. I didn't see her defending Chelsea. I'd have to catch up on that. And that's an interesting aspect in itself because Tessa Blanchard and Hulk Hogan do have something in common there. But again, we won't get too into that. If you know, you know. John says they wanted to train him, but he didn't want to. I got a new appreciation for Logan Paul, a.k.a. put in work. I do agree with you, John. It does. The work that Logan Paul has been putting in, he has taken to the wrestling business in such an efficient manner. I mean, not only is he athletic as hell, but he's pretty good on the mic, has the personality, has the charisma, and I think is a natural born heel. He's really good. Say what you want about Logan Paul as a person, but in terms of like a wrestler, he's really good. And I do find his stuff entertaining because at the end of the day, you want to see Logan Paul get beat. You want to see the babyface go over. You want to see Logan Paul get knocked out. So he does his job well. So I do appreciate Logan Paul. And I'm not the biggest fan of the Jelly Roll matchup, but I do appreciate Logan Paul's character work saying like, oh, we don't need these celebrities coming into our business. And I'm like, that's so funny. It's ironic. Shout out to San Fran 5. Says, I'm here. Acknowledge me. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for stopping by. Also said the WWE light is turned off. It's not. It's literally on. And you got me for a second there because I don't know if you caught it, but I did look at the camera. But no, it's on. And I've been told too, like, hey, can you turn the brightness down on the light? I can't. That's literally the lowest it goes. Like you can adjust it, but that's the dimmest it goes. It's just that's how it appears on camera. Also, shout out to Gabs as well. How do you know it's on? What do you mean? How do I know it's on? It looks on. I'm like, what do you mean? You can't see. It's glaring. Shout out to Gabs as well for the balloons and for the light. As you can see, we are making quick moves. At the beginning of the month, I think we were still in the 3,000s, and then we went to 4, and then we went to 5, and then we went to 6, like LeBron back in 2010. 6K. I mean, the new balloon up. All love, all support, all appreciation on my part. It's been quite the journey, and we're still going. We're still moving numbers. We're still moving mountains. In large part due to you guys. I appreciate you guys. I acknowledge you guys. And I look forward to these lives all the time. Being able to have these conversations with you guys. Open up different discussions as well as addressing your questions and your point of views on what's going on in the world of wrestling. Like I said, we have a few more lives this upcoming week. Monday, following Monday Night Raw. Thursday, we'll be doing the predictions for SummerSlam weekend. And of course, some live streams next weekend following SummerSlam, giving our live reactions and our recaps of what transpires at the second biggest show of the year for the WWE. I think it's safe to say. The WWE logo brightness looks like Shawn's WrestleMania 25 entrance. Yeah, really white. Blinding lights. Shout out to the weekend. But yeah, you know it's there. And also, we're nearing the end of the month. As you guys know, at the beginning of every month, we gift out memberships to our loyal members of the J area. So I think it'll be SummerSlam weekend because the 31st falls on a Friday, if I'm not mistaken. Or I think my math might be wrong. I think the 31st is Thursday, excuse me. So next Saturday or Sunday, we'll be gifting out memberships. And you guys will have access to the exclusive videos that we have on YouTube. For example, that SummerSlam versus Hulk Hogan. SummerSlam versus Hulk Hogan. The Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels match at SummerSlam, which will be available later in the week. I'm really looking forward to seeing the feedback there. Also, if you guys enjoy the videos, make sure you give them a thumbs up. Comment down below what are your thoughts on the videos or just anything. Honestly, anything. Any questions you want to ask me or any comments you want to throw in there. I see all the comments and I try to get to every single one of them, especially the ones of our members here in the Main Event Mafia. But make sure you guys go ahead and interact with the videos. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, because if you haven't subscribed, man, what are you doing? What are you doing? You can only join the members here of the J area. You can only join the live chat if you're subscribed to the channel. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you do so that way you can keep the date with all the things pro wrestling, like our live streams, like our weekly videos, and the exclusive membership videos that we're going to be having coming out pretty soon. Shout out to SanFran5 here. Says Bobby Roode entrance with the light. Glorious. Gabs is in the chat. I appreciate you, Gabs. Ladies and gentlemen, this SummerSlam marks 20 years of the Custody of Dominic match. What a legendary run by Dominic Mysterio. 20 years in the business. I mean, if you want to even go back further, he made an appearance in 2003. But Dominic Mysterio's match, well, rather, the match for Dominic Mysterio at SummerSlam 05 is such a good watch. I enjoy that matchup so much. Eddie versus Rey in a ladder match. That's enough for me to tune in. But then you add the drama of the winner gets Dominic. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous looking back at it. But now knowing what Dominic Mysterio has become, it is crazy. It is crazy to think that that little kid with the bleach blonde hair has become to be one of the biggest stars in the company. Check out the highlights of the last AAA event, and you would see someone like El Grande Americano, who's super over right now, by the way, and also an appearance by Dominic Mysterio, who got a Stone Cold Steve Austin level of a pop. You know, Dominic's on fire, man. And what I don't like, Dominic won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, but it's like since then we haven't really, capitalized on that. I know he suffered a little bit of an injury there, and in terms of character work, he's on fire. But I just feel like he's cooling off, and this appearance at the AAA event, I think, really could revitalize that heat that has been simmering for Dominic Mysterio. I think he's a future world champion. I think he has all the abilities, potentially, to be a world champion. Obviously, he still needs more work, a little bit more seasoning, a little bit more experience, but I think it's there. I think he could definitely become a world champion at some point in his career. 20 years of our first pay-per-view that we saw. Yes, it was SummerSlam '05. I love that story that I tell about SummerSlam '05. We had seen only, Raw and SmackDown up until then, and SummerSlam '05 came around the corner. I looked on the pay-per-view listings, and I accidentally bought the pay-per-view, and I told my dad, hey, I bought the pay-per-view, and, he said, hey, you know what? Let's get some pizza, and we'll watch it. So that show for me has always had a special part in my heart. Winner pays child support. I mean, basically, right? But it was a good match. Eddie versus Ray. Eddie versus Ray, I don't think ever had a bad match. Like, you look for it. I would challenge anybody to go into the legendary careers of Eddie versus Ray. I don't think they ever had a bad match together. I don't. And I'm not saying a bad match in general. I'm talking specifically one-on-one Eddie versus Ray. I don't think they ever had a bad match against each other. The level of chemistry that those two had, the trust, the patience, the dedication to the craft that those two had, and just their ability to just adapt to each other. The maneuvers that Ray wanted to hit, or the maneuvers that Eddie wanted to hit, it was poetry in motion. Even though Ray took Dom's earnings, I mean, isn't that crazy that they had a child actor at that age? I mean, because could they legally pay Dom? I mean, technically they could, and they technically did pay Dominic, but it's like, wouldn't it have just gone to Ray anyway, as like his legal guardian? And I'm sure they got him something, maybe a nice little trip to Disney or something. I'm sure they got him something. There's no way that they just didn't give him any of the earnings. But of course, if kayfabe is to be followed, then yeah, Deadbeat took it all. If we were wrestlers and had a feud, would it be like Ray and Eddie or Shawn and Hunter? That's a good question. That's a really good question. I think personally, I think it'd be like Ray and Eddie. If you and I had a feud, I think it'd be like Eddie and Ray. The reason being is, for people who don't know, we're going to peel the curtain back a bit here. My brother and I, we would play basketball. We had our own little, what was like a best of 7 series. And he's not going to argue this because it's true. I would always beat him. I was the older brother. I was bigger. So I always beat him. Until finally came the day that he beat me. And I feel like that's the story of Eddie and Ray. Eddie couldn't beat Ray. No matter what he did, Eddie always, somehow, lost to Rey Mysterio. And so, eventually, through enough trial and error, and just consistently battling it out, Eddie finally got the best of Ray. And he eventually beat him. And it was a big thing. So what you're saying is beating me all the time. Yeah. Because I was. It's fact. Whether it was in basketball, whether it was the video games that we used to play, yeah, I would beat you all the time. But then the day came when you finally started to beat me. You started beating me regularly, to the point now where I don't really play video games because I know you're going to beat me. But in terms of basketball, yeah, I think it'd be Ray and Eddie. But Shawn and Triple H is a great feud too. But it's just, I just feel like it's more in line with them. Bro, I got obsessed finding ways to beat you in basketball. It was tough. It was tough, man. We grew up in a very competitive household. I think it was like a healthy competition though. It was nothing like crazy. But yeah, and we're very competitive in terms of like who's gonna win. And it's never been the matter of, I got to be better than him. It's like, no, I just have to win. I don't want to lose, is what it is what it became. There were times I played basketball with Dad, and he would beat me, and I would get upset because it's like I wanted to win. And it wasn't even a matter of I need to beat my dad. It's not even that. It was just I wanted to win. It didn't matter against who. It could have been against Michael Jordan. And even though it's Michael Jordan, I would have been mad that I lost. Literally had to make you tired to at least score. Yeah. I don't know if it's... I don't think anybody knows. I haven't really made it public on the stream, but it's like, yeah, I was a pretty heavy kid. growing up. And so my resort to victory is I would put you in the post and I would use my size to beat you. You had to use your speed and tire me out. And that worked to the point where you were able to tire me out and win. But eventually, I got in better shape and it became more even. I feel like now, with the proper preparation, if we were to play again in the best of 7 series, it's going game 7 100%. If you give us enough prep time, it's going game 7 100%. But those were always good times. I remember in the backyard, with our cousins, they would not allow us to team up. They would not allow my brother and I to team up because it would be over. We always had to be on opposite sides because it wasn't fair to some people. And I'm not pretending like we're the second coming of Jordan and Pippen, but in terms of our cousins and our family, we were the better pair. Sanford says then you started making threes. Yeah, if I was tired, I started making threes. I couldn't go to the post anymore. You have to make sure that you are, 3-dimensional. Be able to shoot threes, play in the post, and the mid-range. But that's a little behind the scenes of like us growing up as just competitive kids. As you can see too, by the looks of San Fran and even Gab's profiles here, their usernames, you can see them having the Intercontinental title next to their usernames. That's indicating that they are a member of the Main Event Mafia. And with every passing month, I believe it goes like 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, to maybe 6 month, and then a year, they begin to update. And if you want to have those championship titles next to your name, consider becoming a member of the Main Event Mafia, where you're going to get those unique username titles. Also have priority first in the replies. You get first access to some of the videos that we upload here on YouTube, as well as the membership exclusives. For example, Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan this upcoming week, and as well as exclusive posts and polls in the chat as well. So always appreciate the guys' supports and your guys' love that you've been sending our way here on the channel. Sanford says nowadays we gotta go our separate ways, then get called up like Spy Kids 3 recruiting the family. Literally. That's the problem with growing up, man. I can remember a time when we were kids and we didn't have to worry about many things, and nowadays it's like sometimes it's tough to just have the schedule lined up. A lot of people have been asking for San Fran to make an appearance on stream, and it's like, don't get me wrong, I would love to, but our schedules just are all over the place. A lot of times when I'm going live, he's at work or he's just getting off of work. He and I basically have contrasting schedules where it's like I have the opening shift and he has the closing shift. So we don't have a lot of times, unless if one of us is off, that we get to interact with one another. So I know people have asked for you on the stream, and like I said, my door's always open to you. But again, it's just being able to fit it in the schedule and have it lined up. Because people enjoyed it, I think, having us together on screen. And it allowed another opportunity for me to interact with someone in person. I know I get to interact with you guys here over the stream and over the chat, which is great in itself, but it's also a different thing to have someone in real time with you and be able to interact with them and feed off of their energy and their comments and their humor, if anything. San Francisco guys, I worked a 14-hour shift, but I'm plotting for something, don't worry. Yeah, no. My guy puts in the work, man. A 14-hour shift, excuse me. But that is something too that I've wanted to do, is have people on stream. I mean, it was always Sanford. He's usually the go-to. But maybe just a special guest, special appearances here and there. Of course, I don't want to overdo it and make it not as new anymore. But yeah, go ahead and feel free to drop any questions, comments in the chat. We'll get to each of them as well. Make sure you guys send in your predictions for SummerSlam. We will be doing a predictions live stream this upcoming Thursday, so tune in for that as well. I'm looking forward to that and seeing your guys' thoughts on the SummerSlam card. It's looking pretty good. I'm coming like Undertaker at Survivor Series 06. I mean, I hate to be that guy, but I think you mean 05. But I get it nonetheless. It's still a great moment for the Undertaker's returning at Survivor Series. Can you go over the card again? Oh my god, yeah, it's a big card though. I might have to pull it up actually. Last time I checked, I think there were like 11 matches on the card. And we'll be going over again. We'll be going over them this upcoming Thursday. I'm tired. Give me a break. I know you are. That's why I'm not saying anything. So we'll go based off of like night 1, night 2. Well, first of all, there's a matchup that hasn't been announced for a night. It's announced, but it's not given a designated night. We're going to have a 6-pack tables, ladders, and chairs matchup for the WWE Tag Team Championships. We're going to see teams like the Wyatt Six versus Andrade and Rey Fenix versus DIY versus Fraxium versus Motor City Machine Guns and the Street Profits. That's going to be a show stealer. That is going to be crazy. I won't share who I think is going to win. With 11, how many ads for the show? I mean, it's going to be 2 nights, buddy. We'll go for night 1. Night 1, the WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton will be defending her championship against the Queen of the Ring, Jade Cargill. Should be an interesting matchup there. A tag team matchup, a celebrity tag team matchup. Drew McIntyre and his partner, Logan Paul versus Randy Orton and Jelly Roll. I really don't know what else to say about that. A couple more tag team matches, though. We have the WWE Women's Tag Team titles on the line as the Judgment Days, Raquel Rodriguez and Roxanne Perez, defend the titles against the makeshift tag team of Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. I'm looking forward to this one, actually. Another tag team matchup, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso versus Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. Also on the card, Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross Part 3. And of course, the matchup that I think will be the main event of night 1. If you disagree with me, let me know in the chat. But CM Punk challenges Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. If you ask me, it's a pretty solid night 1. But night 2, I mean, if night 1 was a night of tag teams, night 2 is a night of extreme. We have a no disqualifications, no countouts for the WWE Women's Intercontinental title as we see Becky Lynch defend that championship against Lyra Valkyria, who's been on quite the roll this year. Also on the card, we have a steel cage match for the WWE United States Championship as Jacob Fatu challenges Solo Sikoa. Also, Dominic Mysterio defends his IC Championship against the phenomenal AJ Styles in a matchup that I think was going to be Dominic Mysterio's best matchup of his career. Also on the card, the triple threat match for the Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Naomi, Take My Money Now. And then, of course, the big main event for the weekend, the WWE Champion John Cena defends his title against the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, the King of the Ring 2025. Should be a huge card, should be a huge matchup for SummerSlam, but the event itself is promising to be a big show. Now, whether or not they add another matchup to the card, because as of this live stream, there's actually 12 matches, excuse me. As of right now, there are 12 matches on the card. Do they add another one? On Raw or SmackDown? Maybe. I think it's a possibility. However, if I am a betting man, which I am, I do not think we're going to get another matchup. I think we're going to stop at 12 and have it 6 and 6 more likely. A balanced card, a balanced show. Still one that I'm looking forward to, though, and I would love to know your guys' expectations and hype levels for the show itself. Make sure you drop that in the chat as well. And if you enjoyed this live stream, make sure you give it a like, comment down below your thoughts and questions, subscribe if you haven't already. I'll go through the whole spiel again. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date with all the things pro wrestling and join the bandwagon while it's still moving at this pace. We have been growing. This last month alone, man, has been ridiculous. We started the month off about 3,000 subs, and we're ending the month here at 6,000, nearly doubling what we had at the beginning of the month. And it's in large part due to the level of commitment, the love for professional wrestling that we all share together, and it's something that brings me back for every live stream. I tend to look up these videos every now and then by, I guess, fellow content creators, now that I can say, And the one piece of advice that every single one of them says, it's just keep showing up. And that is so true. Because there are days where we might be tired, we might be drained, or hey, we might not have something lined up. But as long as you consistently show up and there's people out there who care, like you guys, that make it more worthwhile to come out here, that's enough motivation. That's enough inspiration to come out and keep doing what we're doing. So long as you guys are with me on the ride's going to keep going, and I can't thank you guys enough for the constant support and love. We'll keep going here for another 10 minutes. Any questions or comments, please feel free to drop them in the chat below, and we'll get to each and every one of them. SummerSlam's going to be a huge card, guys. And Monday Night Raw, this upcoming Monday, I guess tomorrow, if we're going to talk about it live. Looking forward to that. We'll be going live following the show and giving our honest opinions and reactions to it. Like I said, Thursday will be the prediction live stream, and then Saturday and Sunday we'll do post-show reactions to SummerSlam Night 1 and Night 2. It's a huge week ahead of us. You'll be seeing the SummerSlam recap for Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels. We'll be doing that later in the week for our members only, and we look forward to whatever the week comes to us. I hope that you guys have enjoyed your weekend and that the week ahead of you treats you just as well, if not even better. So, like I said, I open the floor to you guys. Anybody that want to ask a question, or it doesn't even have to be wrestling related. It could be anything. This is our time to hang out and just let loose and just, shoot the breeze. I talked about it on stream. I don't know if San Fran was there just yet, but we did talk about Fantastic Four. Saw the movie, really enjoyed it. I'm currently in a little bit of a phase with Smallville. We had just seen the new Superman film not too long ago, maybe. I think it was last week, actually. We saw the Superman film, and I kind of wanted to check out Smallville. And so far, I'm still in the middle of season 1. I'm enjoying it so far, and I even discovered that they have a podcast of the Lex Luthor and Clark Kent actors where they rewatch every episode, and that kind of served as the inspiration for the video of Hogan and Shawn and going back and rewatching that. So, is it me, or does this card sound better than WrestleMania 41? I don't think it's you. I think there is an argument to be made that it could be bigger than WrestleMania 41. Or maybe it's just because it left a sour taste in our mouths. But I do think there's a possibility that this show could end up being bigger, or at least more well received than WrestleMania 41. Which, I mean, is a good and bad thing. It's a good thing because, okay, we're continuing on the level of momentum that was built upon for WrestleMania season. But at the same time, you don't want, your biggest show of the year to not be the biggest show of the year. So, a little bit of a double-edged sword there. But still, we'll be checking it out. We'll be watching that PLE. And then after that, I believe is Clash in Paris, if I'm not mistaken. Stephanie Vaquer won a Battle Royal Evolution that guarantees her a championship opportunity for a title of her choosing, whether it is the World Championship or the WWE Women's Championship. Certainly will be a high-profile matchup for Clash in Paris. Looking forward to that, of course. And then we're also on the road to Bound for Glory for TNA. AEW's next pay-per-view, I believe, is Forbidden Door, August 24th. If I'm not mistaken, I'd have to get my dates correct. I'm telling you, man, there's so much content out there to consume, but that's why, I consume it for you guys, man. Well, okay, selfishly, I consume it for myself because ever since I got bit by the wrestling bug as a young kid, I couldn't let it go. But I also keep up to date for all of you. That way, we always can come back and have this discussion and share our takes and share our opinions on these lives. But we'll go ahead and beginning to start wrap up here on stream. Sanford says, man, I love wrestling, especially after a long day of work. I couldn't agree with you more, man. Couldn't agree with you more. It's one of those things where it has always become, and again, I'll speak for myself personally, but it's always been that source of entertainment that has allowed me escapism. And just, whether it was school, whether it was a day at work, whether it was any, stuff going on in my head that it's like stressing me out, I could always resort to that. it was my escapism. It was that ability to relate to a character, relate to a wrestler, relate to a story, and learn from it. To me, it is like live action comic books. And for me, if anybody that knows me on a personal level, they know how influential pro wrestling and comic books, just film in general, I suppose, has been to my life. I feel like a lot of the values and the morals that I've been able to learn from and attained throughout my young adulthood is a direct reflection from wrestling and comic books and movies. Certainly my family as well. That's first and foremost. That goes without saying. But the foundation that my family build is only reinforced by those lessons learned along the way. Of course, life has always been a learning process. It's a process that I'm still figuring out myself. But with stuff like pro wrestling, it helps navigate. It's a nice reset to a hectic week, a busy day, or just a stressful phase in our life. And I hope it does not just have to be professional wrestling, but obviously for this channel it is. But it doesn't have to be professional wrestling. I hope and I pray that everybody finds their outlet. Everybody, I think, deserves to have some source of relief or entertainment from whatever it is that they're facing in their life. It can be music, it can be movies, it could be video games, it could be reading, whatever it is. I genuinely hope that everybody has that outlet to decompress any level of stress, but also find ways to express themselves and let it out. For me, it's pro wrestling. For me, it's comic books. And for me, it's movies. For other people, it's those other things that I have mentioned. And I think it goes without saying that we have to take care of ourselves. And with the risk of sounding a little bit too soft, I think we do have to take care of ourselves and make sure that we watch out for one another. And I think in times like this, that needs to be said. And pro wrestling has always been there for me. And so I hope that whatever it is that you guys have, maybe it's pro wrestling too because you're here with me, that continues to help you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for helping this channel grow to the lengths that it has, to the feats that it has. And again, I appreciate you guys choosing to spend your time here with us on another edition of the J Area Wrestling Show. I look forward to Monday's live stream. It's going to be following Monday Night Raw, of course. We'll be talking about what happens after that show, as well as the lead up to SummerSlam. Thursday, remember, Thursday is the predictions live stream, and then Saturday and Sunday we'll be doing our reactions to whatever happens at SummerSlam. Hopefully it's a great show. If you enjoyed the live, make sure you like the live. Comment down below your thoughts, your questions, anything that comes to mind. Go ahead, just spew it out. Subscribe to the channel so you can be a part of these live streams, and make sure you consider becoming a member of the Main Event Mafia so you can have access to that membership exclusive video, Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels. I give my own analytics and also the reaction to the matchup itself. Sanford asks, when's the next live? Monday. It'll be Monday, tomorrow, depending on what time zone it is, I guess. But Monday following Raw, I'll be going live and sharing my thoughts on the event. So we'll have a live Monday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Mark your calendars, whether it is a physical one or the one on your iPhone or, any smartphone, Samsung. I don't judge. I don't really care what kind of phone you have, but mark it on your calendar. We'll see you guys on Monday. All love, all support. I appreciate you guys. Everyone have a safe week. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to the next time I see you guys. Hope everyone stays safe, take care, and we'll see you guys in the next live. Everyone have a great one.